podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to an overdue Molby On The Spot. I'm Trev, Downey. I am here, of course, in beautiful rural Ireland. I'm joined by the man you've all tuned in to listen to or witness with your lovely eyes, Mr. Jan Molby. How are you, sir?
Yeah. Not too bad, Trevor.
Yeah.
I think we've been here before, but not very often. But where you really need to have a good look at things and try and evaluate where exactly we are. This is in the aftermath of the Atalanta defeat. The easiest thing is to suggest that there was a collective off night for everybody. But I don't know, Trevor. I just think there's things that's rearing its ugly head that's difficult to sort of get away from.
Yeah, it's a complicated one. There's a lot of factors. I'm going to float a very simple theory, possibly too simplistic, but I can't escape it. It keeps coming back to me as I try to parse out what happened last night on the back of the Mank game. Yeah, there's a perfect example right there before we even start. How often have you and I had fun talking about Manchester United and the absolute shambles that they are? We've been able to enjoy so many great results against them. It's almost like it felt like an entitlement to beat them, and that happened twice in a row. But let's get away from that for a second and get back to what I'm trying to posit here. Do you think, Jan, there's a possibility that in the wake of the announcement, which was quite a shocker for everybody, sort of unsettled everybody's feeling of comfort and the foundations of what we thought we were in the middle of building, a Liverpool 2.0 under Klopp, and he announces that he's gone. Do you think that when we had that lovely positive reaction, which we've seen since almost entirely until very recently, that we've been riding this wave of emotion, which has worked really favourably for us? We get last-minute winners. There's this deep well of belief and passion and do it for the boss and do it for each other and all that kind of thing. Is it possible, and you're the man to ask about this because you'll have been involved in scenarios, if not identical and similar, is it possible that that kind of thing can start to peter out? That, we have perhaps, are we on the downslide of that wave now? Is that possible? Could to use another shitty metaphor that doesn't link, could the bubble have burst here?
Yeah, I think it's a possibility. I just happen to think that there's too many things this season, from going back to last summer, and revamping the squad and the impact that the players have had or not have had. And there's too many things when I look closer at it. I think a lot of times, Trevor, we kind of want to close our eyes a little bit and go, wow, this is going all right, isn't it? Don't worry about the fact that we go behind in games because we have an unbelievable belief and we manage to get back. And don't let it worry that David Nunes and Luis Diaz are not out-and-out goal scorers. And we're not overly concerned that we keep giving up chances to opposition. But we should have been, and we are now. Because if you look at since the Manchester United FA Cup defeat, 5 games, 11 goals against, really average opposition. You pointed out there before, we've had some giggles over Manchester United because of the shambles that they are. They still are. Trevor, look at their games. I was at the Brentford game. when they scored one in the 96th minute and then Brentford equalised in the 97th minute. I was at the Chelsea game where they were winning 3-2 after 100 minutes and lost 4-3. So they are still all over the place. And we've now allowed ourselves to get involved when we play Manchester United in that psychological aspect of playing Manchester United, instead of just playing them on merits and putting them away, because we are still, with the problems that we have, we're still a significantly better football team. So yeah, I think there's every chance, Trevor. If you go through everything, I think you'll find a lot of things that worry you. And I'm also talking about the quality that it requires. And the thing that worries me, Trevor, is that what is almost guaranteed in our game is intensity. And when the intensity isn't there, where's the fallback? Where is that? Regardless of intensity, where is that class? Where is that? I just think that the drop off sometimes for some of the players is quite dramatic.
Yeah, it has that feeling. And when you see something like last night's game against Atalanta, there's been a lot of talk, and I think rightly so, about how there was a bit of a tactical victory for Gasperini, about how he set up perfectly and, if not pulled Klopp's pants down, then certainly embarrassed him and us in our home place with just a coherent tactical plan. But what that doesn't do is it doesn't acknowledge the fact, Jan, that tactical plan or no tactical plan, if players had turned up and been 70, 80% of themselves, you can tactical all you like, we're still going to beat you. And that's what we've based so many of our conversations on when it comes to the end of the show, when we're talking about predictions and you're giving your predictions. We have this sort of quiet confidence, not arrogance, but quiet confidence that there's enough in our best 11 or second best 11 or third best 11, depending on what way it's mixed up, to do a job on a day. And it was so far off that there are other issues that we should probably have a discussion about, because it's going to tie into this bigger picture that I want to talk to you about, which is the run-in, the one massive prize that is left and has always been there is the title. We made the very huge change to not having it in our own hands. That's depressing. That was hard to take. In fact, it was Man United made it harder. But we will speak about that in a bigger thing and compare City and Arsenal and see what you think. But again, I come back to this thing about how are we fixed now going into this. People accused Klopp of arrogance last night in terms of the selection of the team. But I would argue, and I do get it, I think what he did was he stripped a lot of the pace out of our team, Jan, last night. In fact, all of it. But I would argue that perhaps, if there was ever going to be a team where you recycle some players, you get some minutes into legs, you change things up dramatically. In what's remaining of the season, this is the only game left. Like, it's, as odd as it seems, this is the most risk-free game that we had. So I do understand experimentation to an extent. I do also, though, have to wave a little flag at the idea of why are you taking so much pace out of our team? Why change the full-back situation so much where Joe Gomez has been our backup left-back and a very good one, and performed really, really well, even inverting into midfield and all that crack from the left? Why take the pace of Bradley out of the team? Why take all the pace across the top line, with the exception of Darwin? Why take the pace, any pace we might have, through Dom Szoboszlai out of the middle of the park? It was an odd thing, and the sluggishness of our play, I thought, reflected that.
So I got to know Atalanta and Gasperini quite well during COVID, and we have the final 8 in Lisbon, where they were one of them. I think they lost the quarterfinals to Leipzig. And then, of course, we played them ourselves in the Champions League. And I think he's a very good manager. But I also think he's very predictable. He plays in he can only play one way. And I think that's like where there's no excuse, because you've got a manager here who can only really play in one way. And that would be our chance when we go to Bergamo, if we still want to have a go. is that they can only play in one way, which is aggressive, which is man-to-man. And I think if you look at that, Trevor, and it comes back to the point that you made, what's going to break their organisation? Pace. The one thing that'll break what they come with is pace. They had a big, strong physical side, but they're not necessarily a very quick team, so they were quite keen on all these physical battles that they had, and they won a lot of them, but we should have maybe gone the other way and gone, the one thing that kills these is pace. We need to be nippy over the ground, and we got a chance, isn't it? So I haven't said all that, Trevor. I don't know how I don't know how I feel now. This is before the Crystal Palace game, and we're still joint top of the league, and we've got 7 league games to go, and I get a feeling that if we win them 7, we'll win the title. And I still don't know where I stand in terms of the second leg in Bergamo, because there's still something at the back of my head that I don't know what it is, but it's part of what it is to be part of Liverpool, Trevor, isn't it? That the most foolish thing you can ever do is rule anything out.
Yes, and there has been a lot of talk today amongst, ironically, I was talking to a couple of Mank fans, and pessimistically they were, you lot go over there and win 5 or 6-0, blah, 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 that kind of chat. And then amongst Liverpool fans as well, who I think are reluctant to let the dream die, and they're saying, well, we've done it before, we can do it again. My immediate comeback to that is it's an Italian team, and cliches are there for a reason, because there's quite often a little bit of a nugget of truth. And if there was a nationality that you didn't want to be going to try to overhaul a vast goal difference, or to try to prevent them from keeping a clean sheet, it would be an Italian side. So there's that. That's an issue. But there's this wave of still almost blind optimism that some people have, and blind pessimism if you're an Oppo fan and you're thinking, those bastards are going to do it again, in a wave of emotion. I'm somewhere in between. I've been trying to be as rational as possible about this. We had a wonderful discussion last night, which actually had some tempers flaring, which I always like, because it's a sign that people are being honest, around about how we should approach this second leg. So, obviously, the big prize is the league. Obviously, it's no longer in our hands, but that doesn't mean a damn thing, because we have 7 games left. We want to go out and win the 7 games. 7? 8? 8 games? 8, 7.
Are you that person who has everything? The coolest merch and those must-have fan threads? Well, over at our Anfield Index shop, we've gone that extra mile when it comes to pimping up your Liverpool collection. From our popular range of bespoke design t-shirts, sweaters, hoodies and hats, to our signature edition mugs, prints and coasters, all provided with fast worldwide shipping. We have something for every red. We also stock official LFC merchandise and are licensed with the Premier League and UEFA to sell official iron-on shirt badges and sleeve patches. As a listener to this podcast, you can get 10% off everything with coupon code AIPRO10. Just head over to AnfieldIndex.shop or find us on Etsy by searching for Anfield Index.
7 games. Okay.
7. 4 away and 3 at home.
7 games left. And all of those need to get one, and then we see what happens. It's not an ideal situation to be in, but I think most people would be confident that Arsenal will be less than perfect over the run-in. And if we manage to remain perfect, we can still stay ahead of Manchester City. Okay. That's that. What's not so obvious, I think, is how Klopp is going to approach the second leg. So that's where I wanted to speak to you, because this is the topic that caused a little bit of controversy for us last night. Some people are saying, listen, you absolutely go full guns blazing. You absolutely don't give up on this. It's a competition that we're in the latter stages of. How could you dream of giving it up? Other people saying, seriously, just play the kids. The league is all that matters now. This is gone. Now, I am currently of the opinion that Klopp will do nothing but go for it in the biggest way possible. That's how I think Jurgen Klopp will go. I'm curious what you think.
So there's a lot, Trevor, in all the things that you said. I mean, something flashed up in my mind as you were talking about the fact that we're playing an Italian team. And I go back to my own experience in the early 90s, and you remember this, Trevor. We lost 2-0 in Auxerre and won 3-0 at home, and everybody's going, wow, wow, wow. We then lost 2-0 in Genoa, and we have the second leg at Anfield, and everybody's going, we're going to do an Auxerre on Genoa. We lost 2-1. And I think that's your point, isn't it? It's an Italian team who's set up in a different way. They didn't play like Auxerre. They came to Anfield to do a job on us, which they did. I guess if you want to know why we lost, have a look at the starting 11 we had in those days because of the 4-4 rule. We had to leave a lot of players out that Graham Souness didn't want to leave out. But that was one of the things in it. The other thing, Trevor, in terms of the Atalanta, and I don't know whether Klopp plans like that or not. But if I was Klopp, I would not make the decision until after we played Palace on Sunday. And that is, of course, with half an eye on the result, but more importantly, about the players, because United in the FA Cup, Brighton at home, Sheffield United at home, Manchester United away in the league, and now Atalanta. It's been a bit sluggish, hasn't it? Whatever way we look at it, it's just been a little bit off. So I need to see something against Palace for me to say to Jurgen, I won't, but you know what I'm saying. Jurgen, we're ready, let's go flat out, we can do this. Or you look and you go, we're treading water. It's a bit like, remember during COVID, Trevor, where we lost 6 consecutive home games? And you think, it's not possible, is it? We lose one, blah, blah. But sometimes it is possible. Sometimes it's even possible for some of the best teams, for some of the best players in the world to get in something that you can't get out of. I'm not sure, our results haven't been particularly bad, but we're not playing particularly well. And it takes another 3 or 4 games before we start playing well again. That doesn't mean that it'll stop us winning, but it's just whether. And why I'm making that point is, Trevor, I think, so the performance against Sheffield United to win 3-1 won't be enough to get a required result in Atalanta. I think we need to play well to be able to rack up the score, you know what I mean? I think Sunday might give Jurgen an indication of, are we actually capable at this moment of playing well, or are we just grinding out results?
So hang on, let me just extrapolate from what you're saying there. So basically, if it's a narrow win, a win that we just about scrape through against Palace on Sunday, because I think anything other than a win, and we'll even start to doubt, well, actually, that could have a knock-on effect as well. But if it's only a narrow win, not an impressive win, are you saying that he may be cautious as a result then? That's basically where you're driving the bus on this one? Yeah.
No, absolutely. So, but that would be my way to look at it, is that the players will give him an indication on Sunday. And I have a feeling, again, we will see 16 players involved. The 11 that start and the 5 will come on a substitute because of the workload. So he will have a good idea of 16 players. Jurgen is too long in a tooth to be fooled by training ground performances. This is about something else. And what weighs you down, Trevor, the moment you step over that white line is expectations as well, isn't it? So that all you don't have them on the training ground, but you have them when you play matches. So all that will come into it. So I would suggest that the only place he can make that judgment is after the game on Sunday when he's seen them play again, because there won't be any less pressure now, will there? Because all of a sudden people are now thinking, what we thought was going to be potentially a great season, and it still could also fall apart inside a couple of weeks, So don't worry that the players will be feeling that. And I also think you saw that against Atalanta, and some of the players, you see the sort of body language of Virgil van Dijk. He's like, what is going on here? I mean, when you look in the second half.
Hello there. Have you ever found yourself getting ready to watch the Liverpool match? You've got your mates round, you've got your drinks, you've got your snacks, you're all set to go. It's going to be a good day. And then you find out, the game's not actually being broadcast in your region. There's the heartbreak, there's rage, there's despair, there's fury. You're upset. You're looking for a solution. Well, we've teamed up with NordVPN to bring you a game-changing solution. That's right. With NordVPN, you can switch your virtual location to a country where the game's on live. It's like having a global ticket to sports, TV shows, and movies from all around the world. And here's the best part. If you go to nordvpn.com/Anfield Index, you'll score the best discount on your NordVPN plan. Plus, our link gives you 4 extra months free on the 2-year plan. And that's what we call a winning streak. And if you're sitting there and you're thinking, what if it's not for me? What if I don't like it? What if I'm not getting the use of it? Don't worry about it. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so it's totally risk-free. I've been using NordVPN to catch all the Liverpool matches and TV shows that I'd normally miss out on. It's totally transformed both my weekends and my TV watching. And not only that, not only does it give me access to stuff from all around the world with the click of a button, it keeps all my data safe. It means that the miscreants, the ne'er-do-wells, what my grandmother would have called scallywags, who lurk on the internet to try and steal your information, can't get to your information. NordVPN keeps it safe for you. So don't let geo-restrictions bench you this season. Visit nordvpn.com/Anfield Index and make sure that you're in the game, no matter when or where it's being played. Remember, it's not just sports, it's your all-access pass to binge-worthy TV shows and blockbuster movies from all around the globe. NordVPN literally unlocks the world for you and keeps you safe from the world. So don't miss out. Head over to nordvpn.com/Anfield Index and let the fun and games begin.
You know, it wasn't actually that much of a weekend back four we had. It was Konate and Virgil himself and Robertson, and when we had Keller in goal. I know he's not quite Allison yet, but that was quite a strong back five line. And we're looking at each other and going, this doesn't happen for us very often, but it is happening at the moment, isn't it? So, yes, I think Sunday would be a good indication.
Do you see a pattern between the outside of the clear wastefulness of our attackers and midfielders in terms of snapping up opportunities? Do you see a clear pattern that's evident between the Man game, the games since that cup game, and the most recent league game included, and last night? Is there, like, for example, we looked as if we didn't have any joined up thinking around our defending from midfield and in terms of the press and following the runners. The goal that we conceded at the end there was like a disaster class from Dom Szoboszlai, who's an intelligent man and very capable of making tracking runs. But after giving the ball away, instead of being in a heightened state where he's trying to maximise the recovery, he's jogging back. The guy who scores is right beside him. Joe Gomez is right beside him too. Joe gets drawn to the ball. Dom makes a little step after this guy has reached the ball as if to say, oh shit, I should have gone. It just seemed a little bit clown cars, very, very, the kind of stuff that if I was coaching kids, you'd be saying, lads, follow runners to midfield. Someone has to take responsibility for that, especially if you cough the ball up. There was a little bit of that around the second goal and a little bit of that around the first goal as well, in terms of where are people? What's going on here? That it seemed disjointed. It seemed as if there was a lack of coherence there. That's a worry more so than not taking chances for me at the moment. I'm like, why are we so disjointed? So
the game generally is about inches, isn't it, Trevor? It never takes. I mean, even you go back to the Atalanta, they score 2 goals that are inches onside, and we score a goal that's an inch offside. So all these things, of course, matters, isn't it? But I just don't think this team recovers as well as the great team that we had a few years ago.
Yeah,
this team has to be perfect, Trevor. They have to be in their positions to be able to do their jobs. So Endo is caught half a yard the wrong side, can't recover. I think Dominic is the same. I think there's too many of them the same, is that they're just caught on the wrong side of our organisation, of our press. They don't recover. And I think that is a problem. You go back 3-4 years ago, Trevor, and we used to see things develop against us, but it never got there, did it? Because we recovered so well. Whether that was Robbo recovering or whether that was Henderson in midfield, whoever it was recovering, Sadio Mane, all them things, isn't it? we don't recover as well as we used to. So that means that unless we're 100% foot perfect, we are vulnerable. And I think we've seen that. We've discussed all these things all season, Trevor. And you mentioned before how wasteful we are in front of goal. And we had the long discussion about David Nunez and whether I thought he'd ever improve. I don't think he will. I think he'll always be the way he is. But of course, the Atalanta, I assume it's a different game if he puts us 1-0 in front, of that great chance he has in the first half, isn't it? So it's a problem. It's not something that surprises me. Luis Diaz, I think, falls a little bit into the same category. Does some things really well, catches the eye, and then you kind of go, what's the end product of this? And so, yeah, there is some issues that come back to bite us. And I think some people suggested that it was only a matter of time. At some stage, we'll pay a price for the way that we defend. And at some stage, we'll pay a price for the fact that we don't take our chances. This expected goals and whatever, that we don't get anywhere near them. I always think that great players, great strikers and teams, they outscore what's expected. That's what they do, isn't it? You go and watch a great player play and you expect them, but he's better, isn't he? So I always look at expected goals. I expect us to outscore expected goals, and I expect our strikers to score more than what's expected, because that's what great players do, isn't it? And we're falling below them, isn't it? And there's a reason for that. We're wasteful.
Hello, I'm here to annoy you. I'm here to annoy you into listening to more of me and more of others on EPL Index. We don't just have the Anfield Index stuff. We've got EPL Index as well, which covers the entirety of the Premier League. And we have 3 podcasts and a whole bunch of really good writing on EPLindex.com. The podcasts are my own two-footed podcast, which is every day at 4 p.m, Monday through Friday, covering the whole league. We have A Tad Predictable, hosted by Tadiwa. You know Tadiwa, he does Anfield Index. He presents A Tad Predictable before every Premier League match week. And then Kevin DeVries and his crew on the EPL Roundtable, they're every week after the Premier League match week. So make sure you listen to everything we're doing on EPL Index and follow us there on Twitter at EPL Index. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, and we have, like you said, 7 league games left. We're hoping that there's going to be a massive turnaround in the performance level over those games, because it hasn't been wonderful, even in the games that we've been winning. And this is where I'm coming full circle back to this kind of wave of emotion thing. There's been a lot of last-minute winners, a lot of late goals, a lot of dramatic results clinched from the jaws of defeat. We are, statistically the most goals scored in injury time, the most goals scored in the last 15 minutes, the most points gained from losing positions, and so on and so forth. But eventually, the habit of conceding a goal to the opposition, even if they're poor opposition, will bite you on the arse, and you have to be a bit wary of that. I suppose there's no point. I'm not trying to put you on the spot and say, do you think that we have enough to win this league? Because we have no real hope, no real choice but to hope that we do. And so I thought we might take a look, without being too scientific and taking game by game, thought we might take a look at the fixtures that remain for the 3 teams who are in the shout for the league, and see what you make of that. I have a thing in front of me. It's not quite as tidy as I'd like. It's separated out in 3 separate columns that I have to scroll between. But just for the sake of argument, Arsenal's remaining opponents are Aston Villa, Wolves, Chelsea, Tottenham, Bournemouth, United and Everton. Now, from the top there, Villa could potentially be something that might present a challenge, but they didn't very much recently when we wanted them to in another game. Wolves, Chelsea, Spurs, Bournemouth, United, Everton. Okay. Of those fixtures, Jan, is there anything jumping out at you there that you think might cause problems for Arsenal? Could Tottenham away perhaps be one? Could United away perhaps be one? I don't know. I'm grasping at straws here.
So I look a bit at Arsenal, like I looked at Liverpool a few years ago, Trevor, and when you look at every individual game, I think they're going to win every single game. That's how well they're playing at the moment in the Premier League. You know, they don't give up chances. They don't give up goals. I don't think they will. I don't think they will win the last 7 games, because that would mean, Trevor, that Arsenal in the last 18 games this season would have won 17 and drawn 1. I just don't think that's possible. But you mentioned Aston Villa. Aston Villa, I know Arsenal in between 2 European games, but so Aston Villa, and Unai Emery is a real European manager, isn't it? They got their best midfield player, Douglas Luiz, is suspended. It wouldn't surprise me. They rested 5 players when they went to City, and it wouldn't surprise me. So Wolves away would be a tricky game because Wolves play some good football, but they've stopped scoring goals because of injuries to important attacking players. Chelsea is a mess. Arsenal's going to get the dream because Arsenal's so well organised. They're going to play against a team that are a mess. So I think they'll be Spurs. Of course, there's history in that game. It's the North London derby. Spurs at the moment are getting results, but they're not playing particularly well. And they're vulnerable. They're easy to play against. They give up chances. And then we got Bournemouth, and then they finish off, Trevor. Arsenal finish off with 2 clubs who have got absolutely no interest in Liverpool winning the league, which is Manchester United and Everton. You know, I don't know. What? I was at the Brentford Manchester United game, sitting in the press lounge before, and some young kids must have been working on their social media, whatever, for Manchester United, was discussing that very thing about Liverpool, Manchester City, or Arsenal win the league. And in their opinion, there was no doubt whatsoever that they wanted Arsenal to win the league. You know, I know that they're not, but it's trying to give you the feeling of if even a club like Manchester United could half throw a game, it would be the one on the 12th of May at Old Trafford against Arsenal. And then, of course, Everton, who probably will be safe by then, unless they get more points affected, but and probably will be safe by the time they go down there the last day of the season. And you could see Sean Dice leaving half of them out, isn't it? You know, going, well, it's a chance to give some of the fringe players a run out before the summer, isn't it? So I kind of look at Arsenal and I think they're good enough to win the 7. I don't think they will. And if it is going to be one of them, I do look at the away games, you know, Wolves, Spurs, and the Manchester United game.
Yeah, I think you've been completely thorough there, and in doing so, I don't know that I have any more hope. I think I'm listening to you there, and I'm thinking, yeah, it's possible that they don't. It's likely that they don't win all their games, but I don't see a good case for anyone there on that list who can beat them. And I think it's going to pretty much be the same conversation we're having about City. We'll have this one briefly as well. They have Luton, and they're playing Luton at City. They're away to Brighton, who I guess if it had been earlier in the season or whatever, we would be thinking, well, there's a chance, right? That's a possibility. Brighton are a solid team. They're away at Forest, which won't present any challenge to them, I don't think. They've got Wolves at home. They then go away to Fulham and away to Spurs, so a similar result to our fixture to Arsenal. And they finish the season at home to West Ham. Again, I'm looking at that bunch. I'm looking at what's left in the season for them to achieve those particular opponents, and it just seems to be playing very much into City's hands. It's hard to see if your gut feeling is telling you that you can't see Arsenal winning the 7 because history. Your gut feeling is telling you probably that you can see City winning the 7 because history. That's how I'm leaning towards it, but we're interested in what you think.
I feel exactly the same, Trevor. Prior to the league game at Old Trafford, there was room for a game where we could drop points because we had the 3 points. We no longer have that, neither do Arsenal. In terms of City, now all of a sudden, City is the main challenger, aren't they? And you look and you go, it requires both teams, I feel, to be perfect. The only hope I could give you, Trevor, the 4 away games Manchester City have, which are Brighton, Nottingham Forest, Fulham, and Spurs. Last season, they took 5 points from them 4 games. They won 1, drew 2, and lost 1. What does that matter? I don't know. It means that there might be a chance. I don't know. But then somebody said, that's probably a bad idea because Guardiola will be on his toes now and going, let's make sure we don't do what we did last year. So, yeah, I find it difficult not to see City winning their games.
Yeah, so we get to the situation, as you said, as you correctly put, Liverpool need to be perfect. And this is now Liverpool needing to be perfect again, starting at the weekend, Crystal Palace. And then we have this much vaunted trio of away fixtures, Fulham, Everton, West Ham. And again, in there you have one club who's highly motivated to be like Manchester United were, a fly in the ointment in Everton. We have Tottenham, but we play Tottenham at Anfield, unlike the other two, I think, who have away fixtures at Tottenham. And we have Villa, again, similar. And we have Wolves, again, similar. So, again, if you were objectively to say, can Liverpool win all those fixtures? Yes. But there are clearly going to be challenges there for a Liverpool that is not in good form. So we're relying on that turnaround to happen. That I don't know how likely you are feeling about that. In terms of the possibility of Liverpool finishing the season perfect, we have seen it recently. We have seen it in the charge to get Champions League after a drastic opening part to the season. We saw a late charge, and the last 10 or 12 games being fantastic. It is possible, Jan. Whether in the context of the latest drop-off in form you feel it's likely, that's a different thing. Where do you see the slip-ups potentially there for us?
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously on the back of the last two performances, you kind of see demons everywhere when you look at those fixtures.
That's it.
And that's a problem. You've got Trev, isn't it? You speak to an Arsenal or Manchester City fan, they'll tell you, Liverpool win all 7 games because they don't see the same as we do, and they don't see our team as often as we do. Obviously, the positive is that we've got no injured players coming back. That is a positive, gives us more options. But then also you're looking at some individual performance at the moment and thinking we could have done with them maybe playing a little bit better than what they are. Palace is not going to be the Palace that we're used to. They've got a new manager now and they're playing more of an open game. So I think that should suit us. It won't be so much parking the bus as we used to when Roy was the manager. So that should suit us. Then we've got the 3 away games. Fulham on their day, and they've been strong at home. A really, really good team. So on their day, they play some good football, create a lot of chances. But I just can't see it because there's more in it for us, isn't it? It's like end of season, but then there's more in it for us, so we'll be okay there. Then, of course, you got the Everton game, and there's been a tendency as a 0-0 at the Goodison. That seems to be the result, doesn't it, every year? I speak to a lot of lads who go to the Everton games, and they say they're dreadful. I think we'll be okay this year. Then we go to West Ham. The biggest problem we got to have at West Ham is it's David Moyes, so still a bit of a connection to Everton, but also the way that they play. They will park the bus, and they will rely on counter-attacking, and they are very, very good at counter-attacking with Jared Bowen and with Kudus and Antonio and whatever. They're very good. The only thing that could help us there, Trevor, is that it looks like they're going to exit the Europa League. They lost 2-0 to Bayer Leverkusen, and it looks like they're going to go out. So I think all the sort of feel-good factor it'll just deflate. I think the fans will now sort of step up their mini protest against Moyes, and the way that he plays his football, isn't it? So I think that will definitely help us, isn't it? We've got Spurs at home. That'll be an open game. We should be okay. Aston Villa, I think by then we'll have a clear indication of whether the Premier League will get 5 spots in next year's Champions League. So that'll have a massive bearing on Aston Villa's motivation. I've got a feeling like they might still be in Europe by then, but nevertheless, it'll be a difficult game. There's no danger about that. And Wolves at home, it'll be okay. But I don't know, Trevor. I think we'll win all 7, but I wouldn't be surprised if we messed in 1 or 2 of them,
It's hard to be as upbeat as we might have been, say, 3 weeks ago, because, like I say, there's this feeling that we may have crested this wave and be on the downside. And what's complicating it is, I think, the tension and the the emotion around the idea of Jurgen leaving. A lot of people are leaning into, well, maybe not a lot of people, but it's what I found myself thinking about was how much of Jurgen's career we've been the bridesmaids, if you like. You know, we've been close but no cigar kind of thing. There are way too many lost finals. There are too many leagues lost by a point. There's that feeling of nearly men. And there's a feeling of an era that was almost successful. I think we were all hanging our hat on potentially, is it possible to get 4 trophies? Listen, that we're still in the shout for 3 is super. Most of us, I think, are realistically expecting that it's now down to 2. But if we could get this big one over the line, oh my God, that would be amazing. And
hey guys, it's Eddie Gibbs from Anfield Index here. I hope you're enjoying this podcast, and I'm sorry to call time on the show before it ends. In the current climate, it's tougher than ever before to offer podcasts for free. At Anfield Index, we produce over 75 free shows every month, which I'm confident is unparalleled in the LFC sphere. Whilst we'd love to offer everything for free, the production costs now make this impossible. That said, we don't want to follow the model of other channels and lock all of our content behind a paywall. So what we've decided to do is to continue offering every show for free, but cut that offering to 30 minutes on our longer shows. So to get all of our shows in full and enjoy the best of everything we have to offer, we really hope you'll consider supporting the channel and signing up at AnfieldIndexPro.com. For about the price of 1 cup of coffee, you'll get every podcast in full with 0 ads. You'll also get access to our LFC VIP community, where you can enjoy live podcasts, engage with our podcasters, and chat with other Reds in real time. So that website again, AnfieldIndexPro.com. Join today.
Sports Social Podcast Network.